Jeeps, rugged, dependable, masculine, but today I will attempt to answer the ever important question that's been burning on all of our minds and hearts. Are Jeeps for girls now? Let's get into it.
This one's a Jeep girl, and they're all white because white's my favorite color. And do you see that this one's pink? This is pink because pink's my favorite color. And I just love Jeeps so much. You can do so many things with Jeeps. You can take the top off, you can take the doors off, you can take the window down. The front window, not the windows on the side, you silly goose.
Before we go too deep, my name is Casey, and I've been a husband, father, counselor, therapist, and psychologist for more than a decade, as well as a conservative man, and I have seen that Jeeps, from the duck on the dashboard to the pink accessories, has become a girl phenomenon, or at least a trend, and I wanted to look deep into it. How many girls really own Jeeps? Why is this occurring? And what does it mean for the future of our society? If you would like to know more, please like, share, and subscribe on the way in. I would love to earn your support, and most of the time my channel is about much more compelling, serious issues, but this might be fun. Let's go.
Oh yeah? You bet!
In reality, Jeeps have been a very historically male part of the car market, and while 62% of new car purchases are being done by women, the vast majority of men are still the ones registered to the Jeep ownership. So about 28 to 30% of the registered owners of Jeeps are women, but if you look out on the road, it seems like it could be even much more than that. I would challenge you to look at the next time you drive past one. Who is driving it? Now, men might still be the registered owners of that vehicle, but, have their wives or other people driving. And I should say, before I get into any criticism of anyone owning a Jeep, I could not afford a Jeep. I would love to own one. I would love to drive one. Never driven one. And perhaps someday, if my little channel from this Midwestern midwit gets any bigger, I'll be able to afford one. But let's look a little bit at the psychological reasons, because that's my background in psychology, why this might be happening.
Went today and bought my dream car. Before I tell you what I got, in the comments, tell me what you think my dream car is. I'm really curious to see what type of car y'all think fits me. Anyways, we woke up at 5 this morning because we had to leave the house at 5:45. Drove 2.5 hours to this dealership. I bought my car from Lifted Trucks in McKinney, Texas. Highly recommend them. Literally all the vehicles they have there are just amazing. They're all decked out, super nice. All have lift kits, big tires, all the things that I love. If you couldn't already tell, I got a Jeep. It's a Rubicon. Absolutely perfect. My dream car. The inside of this one is what really sold me. It has...
What we should know about the psychology of car ownership is that cars are more than just what we drive or what we use to get from point A to point B. And for anyone like myself who's ever driven a beater for multiple years on end, or sometimes multiple beaters on end, you know that when you're driving that around and you see a 16-year-old who's parked next to you that has a way nicer car than you do, that has a deep, abiding hurt in your heart that comes about because you want the symbol that you either can't afford at that time, or maybe just the 16-year-old had parents that blessed them. But the Jeep signals something different, right? It's not just a vehicle. You're not doing it for the purpose of going faster than everyone else, or even there are very specific signals that come with a Jeep. It comes with a capability signal, an autonomy signal. The capability says I can handle hard terrain, weather, chaos. I can get out of hard situations. The autonomy signal, I'm not dependent on perfect conditions in order to do what I have to do. And the visibility and control means that you're taller, higher up, you command a view, and it is a commanding presence. Psychologically, this matters because it makes modern life a little bit less unstable, a little bit less unsafe, and a little bit less unpredictable. And people respond by buying symbols of control. So as the modern Earth, world, society has gotten further and further out of control, perhaps people are looking for a vehicle that signals a little bit more that they can maintain some power over their circumstances. And I know that this could be a stretch, but I believe the women buying Jeep craze has actually leaned in that direction. But this is true for men and women. But women tend to prefer symbols that combine power with social acceptance, not just power alone. And as women have gone further and further in higher education, further and further in the workforce, and yes, even buying the majority of vehicles now on the market, this symbol seems to matter to them especially. So, what about the ducks? There are 70,000 million rubber ducks on every Jeep that you see, especially the Jeeps that are driven by ladies. And of course it happened, for men and women, that the ducks, rubber ducks, started being a part of the symbol of it. And of course, if you see someone driving a Jeep and you have a rubber duck in your car, you then put it on their door handle, that's my understanding, in order to just sort of say, hey, we're cool, this is a club. We're part of something bigger than ourselves, which, by the way, is something that women, social status, social circles, social empowerment, that's all a very feminine thing to do. So the ducks aren't random. They're social technology, and they do 5 critical things. They turn a hard masculine object into a welcoming space. Jeeps come from military origins. They come from rugged masculinity. They come from utilitarian toughness. The ducks soften the culture without removing the capability of the vehicle. They still get power, size, readiness, but now it comes with a playfulness, a friendliness, a belonging. That sense of belonging is a very important thing to females, because if you think about their vulnerability physically over the course of history, as women needed to feel more safe, they would need to build their social circles and make sure that the village was strong, because that would have been a woman's best defense mechanism prior to the modern world. And so when women notice a hole in their safety net or their social circles, that is something that embeds deep in them, and it can often cause more anxiety, more neuroticism than it would in a man, because the men, at least historically, had more capacity to do more damage more quickly, and they didn't need to feel that insecurity so deeply. So this combination widens the appeal of the Jeep to young ladies. A duck says, I see you, and you're part of this. No confrontation, no hierarchy. You don't often even talk to the people that you exchange the ducks with, and there is no competence. There's no pull-ups that you have to do in any amount to be able to get the little duck on your Jeep that says that you belong. It's inclusion without submission or challenge, and that sounds like something women would love. The ducks actually provide some classic micro conditioning, in that most cars give you stress and bills, and they're not as capable as a Jeep would be of going off-road or doing, extra vehicular things. But a Jeep gives you this little surprise, this little delight, a micro social reward when you receive that duck, and that's a classic behavioral conditioning. Positive emotion becomes attached to the object, and people don't just keep those products, they defend them, and it becomes a social circle. It builds a tribe faster than advertising ever could. If someone from Jeep Central or Chrysler Dodge Jeep, I guess, did this as a marketing ploy, they deserve the Nobel Prize for car marketing, because it really has expanded who would want a Jeep, because there's a micro social reward that comes along with driving your Jeep around. The ducks create ritual, repetition, visibility, and community storytelling. There's social media trends that are involved with it, and you can feel that, again, that sense of belonging. That turns owners, especially women, into brand evangelists. And who is a better brand evangelist than a woman? No one on earth. Jeeps didn't invent it, but they benefit enormously from it. And that is how they've reframed empowerment. Here's the key psychological shift. Old empowerment was, I can dominate like men. New empowerment, I am capable and welcomed. The Jeep Duck combo says you can be strong and connected. That's very attractive identity in the current cultural moment, and especially for women as they begin to outpace men in earnings in many sectors of the market. So why now? Why Jeeps? And why for women? This trend fits the era perfectly in that there's heightened anxiety and desire for safety and control. There's social fragmentation and atomization, and there's hunger for belonging. And there's declining trust. We used to have a high trust society. Now there's a preference for tribes over institutions. See most of my YouTube videos in order to see tribalism. Jeeps give us capability theater. Ducks give us social glue. Together they form a product ecosystem that is emotionally sticky, especially for women. Women aren't buying Jeeps for what they can do. In all cases, they're buying Jeeps for what they mean. The Ducks turned rugged capability into a welcoming identity. And if you'd like to be welcomed in my comment section, please like, comment, what's your opinion? Have you ever owned a Jeep? Will you buy me a Jeep? Can we be friends? If you'd like to learn more and see a little bit more from this Midwestern midwit, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.